What is up, guys? Speed here, and today we're going to be following a game of TOPSON's God Tier Invoker. He goes a very weird build this game. Urn, Blade Mail, Meteor Hammer, pretty weird stuff. He creates so much space that Sumail's Spectre is able to go 12-0. So if you want to learn how to become one of the best space-creating mid-lane players of all time and enable your carries every single game while having an insane amount of impact yourself, this is going to be the video for you. On top of that, you should like and subscribe, as we're posting here daily, and we would appreciate your help. Also, I want to ask you guys, are you serious about going pro? Or are you serious about at least getting to the next MMR bracket? If you are, we're currently running a 50% off sale for the gameleap.com website. If you click the link in the description down below, right now, you're going to immediately get a 50% off discount, right, for your next sub. And the cool thing about that is that we have over 10,000 current users of our site. It's proven to work. I get messages quite often, people saying, hey, we love your content, Speed, and we want more. So hopefully you guys are interested in that 50% off discount. If you are, click the link down below, and I'll see you over there. Alright, I briefly want to touch on why this is actually a good Wex Invoker pick in the first place. So number one, they picked it with Phoenix, Prophet, Spectre up until this point. All three of these heroes do, some sort of residual damage, so it actually works very well with Cold Snap. And if we look at the overall nature of the OG draft, this can apply to your pubs, by the way, but they have two supports that, do a fair bit amount of damage and can play very, very fast, and then they have Spectre, right? So naturally, when you pick a hero like Spectre and you have this super hard carry, generally the strategy you want to run in pro matches, pubs, doesn't really matter, is to have some sort of space creator for mid, right? You want to open up the map for him, or at least enable the Spectre to actually have haunt targets, right? If you don't play fast, Spectre can't haunt on anyone, and it will slow down his overall farm. On top of that, I think Invoker, or specifically Wex Invoker, is very good against Quap. I think it's such a great mid matchup. It's good against Bane, you can cancel Fiend's Grip easily. You can purge Inkswell with Tornado, it just cancels that out. And of course, you can save people from Beastmaster Roars. If they get gone on, you Tornado, and you can keep them alive. Now let's get into the gameplay of TOPSON. Alright, getting into the first wave, we're going to see a really nice play coming out from TOPSON, and I'm going to be chopping up this video in a different way, so hopefully you guys enjoy this format. If you do, let me know. But getting into this first wave, you're going to see that the range creep is falling low, and if you guys know anything about mid lane mechanics, you have to secure the range creep. Now, do you think it's possible for him to actually cold snap a range creep? It does 8 damage. It's not going to happen. So instead, what you can do is when you see them going for the deny, you actually cold snap them. So right here, Quap going for the deny, he cold snaps to cancel the auto attack animation and prevents Quap from getting the deny, which is huge, right? Because now he's going to hit level 2 off the first wave and can look to pressure or at least secure CS with the Tornado. Following that up, let's talk about trading. Quass Invoker's good against Quap, which a lot of heroes just aren't. They can't deal with the harass, right? Wex Invoker can, just because you regen from Quass so much, but most importantly, you can just hit the Quap. And you're going to see that's what he does here. So Quap is going to step up. This is how you look for good trades. You look for them to step up, right? Quap signals that, hey, I'm going aggressive. You see that movement? TOPSON sees that. He knows the Quap wants to go aggressive. So he hits, moves back, right? Then if the Quap steps up again and she walks into the wave, he'll hit again. The goal here is to hit the Quap anytime she walks in the creep wave, because that's what creates a favorable trade, right? You'd never want to just hit, especially if they're on the enemy high ground, right? That is terrible. You always want to try to bring the enemy towards your high ground, and that's how you trade favorably in the mid lane. I mean, there's a lot of things that come into play, but that's huge. Now skipping ahead towards the 5-minute mark, I want to point out his item build. So he has 3 points in Quass, which is pretty natural for Wex Invoker, but he has 2 null talismans, a Sage's Mask, and a Mango. I really like this item build because the goal against Quap is just to stand there, be tanky, and harass her. So if you have a Sage's Mask, a Mango, and these null talismans, you can literally sit in the lane and spam your spells. It's the best way to play against Quap because you're going to ruin her ability to at least kill you, and of course play tempo as well. You're going to shut down her ability to play fast. Now let's talk about how to use your Quass Wex combo properly. This is the Cold Snap, Tornado, EMP combo, and using it on a hero like Quap is very difficult. For most heroes, all you have to do is EMP, Tornado, and Cold Snap them, and there's nothing they can do about it. But Quap is a little bit weird because she can blink out of the range, so how do you actually execute it? Let's pay attention to what TOPSON does. So getting into the clip here, it's very important to note that he has the EMP and the Tornado selected. A lot of the time you're going to lead with Cold Snap and then maybe EMP, or follow it up with the Tornado, but this can be a little bit different. So he's going to lead with the EMP. You're going to see in a second here, right? The Quap's going to step up. He's going to wait for the Quap to commit for some sort of creep so that she stands still. And when she does stand still and he's level 7 with 4 points in Wex and 3 points in Quass, he's going to lead in, Tornado. As he throws the Tornado, he instantly EMPs, so he basically uses them at the same time, which is important to note, especially when you're level 7. Then when she's coming down from it, He's going to obviously invoke the Cold Snap, and then Cold Snap her to prevent her from blinking. And that's how you ruin a Quapp's game. Now, what does Quapp do? Right? She can't really gank. She has no mana. Does have some wand charges, but this just prevents Quapp from doing anything. It's super high skill, right? You're trying to shut down the enemy's farm, and this is one major general tip for Invoker. Your goal on Wex Invoker or Quass Invoker is not to get your own farm up, right? You're not trying to snowball, you're not trying to pop off, you're trying to prevent the enemy team from having good games, which a lot of people don't understand. And now quickly, I'm going to give some general tips that maybe you guys want to write down for Wex Invoker before we get into the next gank that he performs. So whenever you're playing Quass Wex, try to stay in lane for as long as possible. A lot of people will gank way too early, and this will prevent you from actually having a good game. You're going to fall so far behind in levels that you're going to end up being an Invoker support. So stay in lane, I would argue, a good rule of thumb is towards at least the 8 or 9 minute mark to make sure you have a good start. You actually have a level advantage. While you're in the lane, make sure you're staying on Quass constantly to regen up. If you're going for ganks, make sure you're on Wex to actually play fast, right? Wex gives you movement speed, so it's important to note that if you're trying to get to a gank, you should be on Wex, which you're going to see in a moment here. And finally, the last thing you want to do on Wex Invoker, as we see TOPSON just steal the mana from Young G once again, is you want to try to read ganks as Wex Invoker. As I said, you want to try to stay in the lane. You might be like, well, Speed, how do I possibly stay in the lane and also know when to gank, right? Because you do want to gank on Wex Invoker. Well, the way I would look at it is you want to try to read the movements of the enemy mid laner. If you see the person you're against going for a gank, you can get there super quickly, right? You can catch up because you can go on Wex, or you can even, Ghost Walk if need be. So as we're going to see here in this clip, this is actually such a great example, but we're going to see the Quapp instantly blink to bottom. TOPSON caught a glimpse of that. He knows where the Quapp is going, or has an inkling that she's at least in that area. So what does he do? He keeps it in the back of his mind. He doesn't instantly start running bottom, he cleans up the creep wave, and then he assumes that because his team is brawling, and that the enemy team is brawling, the Quapp will shift over there. That's what Quapp does, she cleans up fights. So he reads this movement, shifts over, tells his team, hey, let's go on the Quapp, right? He's obviously going to shift over, going to come over to the Quapp, leave a Tornado, follow it up with an EMP, then Cold Snap on the way down, similar to the landing stage, and he picks up a kill. That's such a top tier play, because he doesn't stop farming, he reads the gank simply based on the Quapp's last movement that he caught, and now he's level 9, and the Quapp is barely level 8. The next thing I want to mention is whenever you're playing Wex Invoker or any sort of space creator, you should know before the game starts who you plan on working with. Now I know I can already hear the comments. Speed, I can't work with my teammates, they never listen. Alright, you don't have to communicate, you don't have to, just please understand what heroes work well with your hero. So in this game, if we look at his team, he can kind of work with anyone, right? He just needs a +1 at minimum. I would say the best hero though is Sand King. So he's gonna look to shift to the Sand King here. It's 13 minutes in, they're going on the Beastmaster, his Sand King is playing fast, and so he connects with them. You're gonna see he's not going top, he also finds this God tier Tornado plus EMP combo, and this is what you want to do on Wex Invoker. Understand what teammates you need to work with, and what heroes you can actually kill, and when you do that, you're gonna start to have a lot more impact. One thing that's very important to note about Dota, and this is a super high tier concept that a lot of players don't understand, is that you always want to shift back towards mid. So you could be playing Ember, Void Spirit, Wex Invoker, Viper, it doesn't really matter. Any sort of high tempo hero, Quapp is another great example, right? Any sort of hero that wants to get a kill and then farm in the downtime. Well, where should you farm in the downtime? The best place in Dota really is the mid lane. Now, let's think about that, guys, as we watch this TOPSON clip. So what is the reason that every single time he gets a set of kills or a gank succeeds, even if it fails, this would apply as well, that he runs back to mid? Why is that? Because if you stay bottom, then the enemy team can safely farm top, right? You can't get there quickly, you can't play the map quick. But if you're constantly mid, where does the enemy team go to farm, right? How do they avoid you? They kind of can't. You can be anywhere, anytime. Mid is the hardest lane to read. If the enemy team sees you bottom, they know that you can't get to top without TPing, right? They know how long it's going to take you. And you can even see that the AM goes top here, right? And because they're mid, they have the option of threatening him, right? If they wanted to. Now, they decide to siege in the mid lane, right? The mid tier 1 tower is the best tower in the game to take as it opens up the map and allows you to play fast. It's the biggest vision advantage in the game, right? Taking the mid tier 1 tower. And yeah, that's why you should always shift back to mid regardless of what tempo hero you're playing. Also, some quick numbers on Wex Invoker. TOPSON actually takes Exhort at level 10 instead of his talent, so he's going to skip his talent at level 10 and take a pointed Exhort. This pointed Exhort is going to allow him to use very strong Deafening Blasts and buff up his carries, or at least his own right clicks, with alacrities. So make sure you take a pointed Exhort at level 10. On top of that, you might be like, well, Speed, if he doesn't take his talent at level 10, when does he take the Ghost Walk talent, which is the one you want to take? He takes it at level 14. So just keep that in mind for your next game. Don't waste your point in the level 10 talent because you really don't need it. You shouldn't be using Ghost Walk that much in the early game, as it kind of just forces you to invoke things, and it can be okay for ganking, but usually you just want to use it for defensive purposes. In this upcoming clip here, let's talk about spellcasting and movement in teamfights. This reaction from TOPSON here is, in my opinion, such a clear sign of why he's a top tier player. Like, his reaction time is incredible, and on top of that, his natural or intuition in these cases where he gets jumped, or gets close to getting jumped, is fantastic. So OG was setting up for a mid lane gank here, right? Pretty standard stuff, grouping up with your team when you have an advantage. And the enemy team actually jumps them, right? So they get so bound, and he realizes, oh shoot, we're getting gone on. So what does he do? He instantly turns around. This is huge, because it's going to prevent you from getting hit by random AoE spells. This could be Ink spells, Scream of Pains, daggers, even just AoE roar. And because of that, he doesn't get jumped, right? He doesn't get hit by any of this. If he did, the fight would instantly be over, but he's actually able to kite out to the side, get a really nice cold snap earn onto the Beastmaster. Unfortunately, I think he misclicks Ghost Walk. Not the end of the world, as he's able to hit a pretty good tornado to set up onto the Bane, and is able to re-control the fight. Now, you're gonna say Speed, he didn't really do much that fight, and I would actually kind of agree, but the main thing is that he didn't get bursted, right? He was able to at least control the Beastmaster, securing the kill onto him, and reset the fight with a tornado. So, not in every single fight do you actually have to do everything, but your movement is really important. If you get bursted right off the bat, your team is gonna overcommit, right? They're gonna panic to save you, and you're gonna lose the fight. So whenever you're playing Wex Invoker, make sure you run away, reset, go a little bit back anytime your team gets jumped, and try to stay on the outside of the fights. In this next clip here, I'm going to talk about a super advanced concept that I don't think any players have actually ever thought of, but when he's ghost walking here, what he's actually thinking about is, where would the enemy team place sentries? Where are they going to place sentries? Yes, he's actually thinking about what are the most common sentry points. So the funny thing about that is, number one, you're going to see he avoids this cliff. He doesn't want to get caught by a very common sentry over here, which the enemy team actually does have one of. But he's going to run through this top ramp, which is less likely to have a sentry. He's going to run around the bend, and now he sees the Quap top here. So you might be like, well, Speed, why doesn't he run in a straight line towards the Quap? Look at the minimap, guys. Why wouldn't he run in a straight line? He's actually going to run all the way around. Kind of weird, right? But where would the average sentry be? The average sentry, well, in this case, it's right here, right? You can see it's right here. It's a little bit bugged, but the average sentry is going to be on this hill, especially in your pubs, right? It's going to be on this hill. So because of that, try to run around it. In concept, it's very simple, but in practice and mid-game thinking about these things is very, very hard, but you're going to see he goes all the way around. Really bizarre, right? Most players would be like, oh, what is he doing? It is simply to avoid the common sentry places. And yeah, this is just a clear sign of top-tier movement, and it allows him to find a kill onto the Bane, right? The Bane doesn't see him coming, comes around, hits a blind tornado, cold snap earned to cancel the brain sap, and they secured a kill. On top of that, he's instantly going to go back into Ghost Walk and find a kill onto the Grimstroke that was going for the Bounty Rune, and really this is just top tier movement overall. It's super hard to keep up with TOPSON. You know, if you guys have ever watched his gameplay, you're going to constantly see him moving and moving and moving, and reading movements and looking at the clock, like how did he even know to run there? It's because after he killed that Bane, I guarantee you he looked at the clock, he's like, oh, Bounty's coming up. Runs to the Bounty, finds the Grimstroke, another kill. Now here, he finds the Quab, looking to set up on her, goes for it, right? Doesn't end up committing, but he's creating so much chaos for the enemy team. On top of that, he forces out an abysmal roar, and this is the movement of a top tier player. It's very unpredictable, it's super fast, and it even works with his teammates, right? At all this time, he's working with the Prophet, he's working with the Spectre, and I know this is top tier communication, right? You'll never get to the level of OG until you play like, I don't know, 20,000 hours of Dota, but you certainly can have aspects of the gameplay within your match. And that's going to be about all for today's video. The last thing I'll mention is make sure you use Alacrity when sieging high ground, and if you decide to buy a Meteor Hammer and a Blade Mail, just remember to use them anytime you're getting gone on. I will mention that this Meteor Hammer doesn't actually end up setting up any kills, however, it does actually allow OG to hit buildings, and if you look at their team comp, they can't really hit buildings. You might be like, well, they have a Nature's Prophet speed. It's a support prophet. This guy barely can hit the buildings. The treants are going to instantly die to Grimstroke or even just Quap. So they don't have any siege. And therefore the Meteor Hammer actually allowed OG to take a lot of towers throughout the mid game. So if you decide to go this build, don't be afraid to use it on towers, and make sure you use Alacrity to siege as well. And this really is one of the hidden benefits of Invoker when he's playing Quass Wex. You actually siege pretty well if you use Alacrity and decide to go Meteor Hammer. So thanks for watching. Once again, guys, we're running a 50% off sale for the gameleap website right now. If you click the link in the description down below, you're going to get top tier content, like some of the best stuff in the world. Honestly, we put so much effort into it. We have a whole team of editors, content creators. It's incredible stuff. We really do put so much work in. So if you would check it out, give it a chance, it would mean the world, and I think you're going to love all the content we have over there. So thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one, and peace.